If you are a LEGO Rocks 99 YouTube historian, you might be a little bit familiar with this series and the formatting of these videos. Back in 2018, I made videos heading into the 2018-19 season about expectations, talking about players on the Vancouver Canucks, my favorite team, and describing what I hoped to see out of them in the upcoming year. You could see this 2018-19 expectations for Adam Gaudette, Bo Horvat, Besser, Ben Hutton. These videos weren't really the best, the audio quality wasn't particularly great, and my commentary skills, hey, they were not as refined as they are now. I hadn't gone to radio school up to that point, which is why I kind of cringe whenever I listen to my old videos. But either way, all 2018 talk aside, it's 6 years into the future, and I wanted to do a similar styled formatted series with some of the players on teams that are not the Vancouver Canucks. Starting out with this video regarding the Montreal Canadiens and their first overall pick back from the 2022 NHL Entry Draft. In today's video, I wanted to talk about Juraj Slafkovsky and ask a very simple question. What are your expectations for him heading into next season? To tell the tape, right here goes as follows. Juraj Slafkovsky is 20 years old, 6'3", 238. He actually should be a lot less than 238 now, according to some of the recent reports we had seen. But he's a left-handed winger, signed till the end of 2033 on his ELC, and of course, he was the first overall pick by the Habs in 2022. Slafkovsky had 50 points in 82 games played this most recent season, which is already pretty good in isolation. Like, just acknowledging the number, oh, he's a 19-year-old guy, he had 50 points, 20 goals, 30 assists in 82 games played, that's great. But then you realize that the majority of his production actually came in the second half of the year, which really starts to illuminate the crazy upward trajectory that he had gone through. Juraj Slafkovsky, in the second half of the 2023-2024 season, was a much different hockey player than the one who had played 39 games in his first NHL season in 22-23. That season was filled with a lot of growing pains. He didn't score too many points. He only had 10 in 39 games. He was getting knocked off of his feet a lot. I remember in particular the Marco Rossi hit was like the biggest damnation against him. Like, okay, Marco Rossi's 5'9", buddy, you're 6'3", 238. Why are you getting knocked down by him? And so, with some extra training and with some changes in mindset, Juraj Slafkovsky was able to stay on his feet a lot more in the second season he had. He wasn't as prone to being knocked down, and his offense took a big step up as well. I'd say, honestly, the most impressive part of his entire offensive package, it wasn't his usage of his size or his goal scoring. I think, honestly, it was his reliability with passing. Because Juraj Slafkovsky, if you watch him especially on the power play, he's one of these guys where when he has the puck on his stick, he rarely makes a bad pass. And usually the passes that he makes, if his teammates are receptive enough to them, it usually leads to some really good offensive chances 2, 3, 4 passes later. Juraj Slafkovsky is able to make some really good reads and facilitate the puck in a way that just kind of gets the job done. It's a lot of no-nonsense kind of decision-making that usually leads to a pretty good offensive opportunity, especially when Slafkovsky has time and space to kind of assess the situation, like on a power play, for example. Not to mention his ability to cradle the puck and retrieve pucks when they're loose, when he's able to corral it and just kind of settle it down before making a quick-witted pass. I feel like Juraj Slafkovsky's overall playmaking is so subtle and low-key that you don't even really realize it. Like, he's not dazzling your pants off with a through-the-legs deke and then a beautiful Trevor Zegras, Sonny Milano over-the-net Michigan pass. Like, he doesn't do crazy stuff like that. He just does the right thing most of the time, and it leads to him getting secondary assists. It leads to him getting points. It leads to him setting up chances and rebounds where he himself is right there in front to put in the garbage. And it's built such a versatile profile of a hockey player that you can't help but start to think, hey, this guy's only 19 years old. Like, he's gonna be even better at this as he gets older and learns to use his size more to his advantage as a potential power forward, a guy who can drive the net, a guy who can snipe pucks. He can already do that, but it's something that I think he hasn't really fully attained yet to his peak capacity, which is totally fine. I mean, he's only a teenager after all, right? So with all this in mind, I wanted to go out there and ask the question, what are your expectations for Slafkovsky heading into 2024-2025? I'm going to say two things. I'll say a realistic expectation, and I'll also say a positive, somewhat upper ceiling, but still within the realm of possibility expectation too. Because heading into next season, if Juraj Slafkovsky gets, let's just say 60 points on the year, I think most Canadiens fans are satisfied with that. They're okay. They're like, okay, great, he did improve. He got more points. He got, let's say, 25 goals and 35 assists. That's great to see. Is that a point production metric that is the most hype, crazy, out of this world, unrealistic expectation to have? No, I'd say it's pretty reasonable to say that Slafkovsky, gaining an extra season's worth of experience and hopefully putting together a more consistent 82 games, if he gets 60 points, that's like the bare minimum for Habs fans to feel satisfied with his production. But if you wanted to go above and beyond, let's say the most realistic upper ceiling kind of number he could get, honestly, if Juraj Slafkovsky gets 75 or 80 points, I don't know if that's terribly unrealistic, but it certainly would ignite lots more excitement within the Montreal Canadiens fan base. Like, if Slafkovsky gets 85 points, I think that's a little bit too much. I don't think he's going to get 85. He's not going to get 90. He's not going to get 100. If he gets 75, though, I think that's just on the cusp of being somewhat possible, while also giving a lot of positive reactions. Mostly because, for Slafkovsky, of course, him getting older is going to contribute to him kind of adjusting on the fly, learning more NHL skills and habits, but also you got to acknowledge the guys around him are going to be better too. Nick Suzuki is going to be aiming for a point per game season. Cole Caulfield's got his shoulder fixed up. Hopefully he can get 35 to 40 goals. Patrik Laine is going to be coming over here too. Maybe he could get 35 to 40 goals. Kirby Dach hopefully is going to be healthy for the year. And that's a guy who I think adds another guaranteed 40 points at center, maybe even 50 points or 60 points if he goes on a little bit of a tear. There are a lot of players in the Montreal Canadiens that can do better next season, and for Juraj Slafkovsky, he has all the more to gain because these other players exist, and they're also going through a pretty similar growth pattern like he is. Even when you talk about defense, I mean, Mike Matheson is good. He was a very good point producer on the power play this previous year, but the fact is his spot is not guaranteed anymore. Lane Hutson exists, and I'm not saying that Lane Hutson is a guarantee to take away Mike Matheson's spot. I'm just saying that if Matheson slacks off a little bit, if he goes a little bit cold and Lane Hutson is right there, then there's an easy way for the Montreal Canadiens to say, okay, sorry, Matheson, you need a little bit more to get going. We're going to put Hutson on the first power play unit for now while you figure your stuff out. And that kind of a demotion would hopefully inspire him to being even better, even sooner, and it would just create some internal competition for that power play spot, thus bringing the best out of both Hutson and Matheson at any given point on the roster. That's not even to discredit the other names that could rotate around in that final power play spot too, like a Logan Mailloux or like let's just say a David Reinbacher or a Barron. Not even saying it's guaranteed, just saying it's possible, and anybody who is feeling secure in their spot on the power play, unless your name is Suzuki or Caulfield, I don't think you should be feeling all too secure in that. And even if Slafkovsky gets demoted to the second unit, which is not going to happen, but if he does, he'll be, playing with Patrik Laine? Then there's going to be a ton of good combinations offensively, because when you cycle around the names, okay, Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Hutson, Matheson, Dach, Laine, and then Lane Hutson. That's like 8 names right there. That's almost 2 power play units worth of guys. And there certainly are options if the Montreal Canadiens were to demote a guy like Slafkovsky to somewhat of a lower pairing. So honestly, I do feel like 75, 80 points isn't unrealistic. I'd say it's maybe like pushing it in terms of what's likely. I'd say a more likely scenario would be 60 points for Slafkovsky, but that's just kind of where my own expectations are lying for him heading into the 2024-2025 season. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Juraj Slafkovsky and his upcoming season? How many points does he get? What are your expectations for the first overall drafted Slovak? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.